You're muted, Maciej.
In October last year, we hosted on our webinar David Marquet, the legendary captain of the submarine. And in January of this year, our guests were two officers from his crew. My name is Maciej Trybulec, and I'd like to welcome all of you on the webinar organized by 4Results, which is the continuation of those events. Continuation of our journey, how to lead teams in the time of big changes. I'd like to welcome all of you watching us on Zoom. I invite you to open your camera if you can. There is no pressure, but if you open your video, we can have more human interaction. So thank you very much for Robert, for Sławek, hi Sławek, Beata, who is always on our webinar, Anna, and Elżbieta, again, Mikołaj. So please, if there is no pressure, but if you can open, it'll be much more friendly climate. I also welcome all of you watching us on YouTube. Please don't forget to subscribe our 4Results YouTube channel. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I have a great pleasure welcoming our guest of today, Jenny Jebsen, who is a worldwide keynote speaker, probably the first time in Poland online at least, certified trainer of intent-based leadership and co-author of the book Together, How Leaders Involve and Engage People to Get Great Things Done. Jenny, it's so nice to have you with us today, and thank you for accepting our invitation.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. I've been looking forward to this all day.
Before we start our conversation, I'd like to invite you, all of you, to put questions. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. We'll try to take them and discuss during this webinar. And today, we will talk about something which seems to be on the top of the agenda of many companies, accountability culture. So how to engage people into the work, how to make them being motivated in this difficult time. 4Results is being involved in this topic for many years, and we have official certification of Intent-Based Leadership International established by David Marquet. So, Jenny, let's start from the title of this webinar, which is, I believe, a little bit provocative. Empowering people is impossible. Are you still ready to defend this statement?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Just the idea that we can empower someone else is non-empowering, right? So I recently saw a KPI. I'm not a fan of KPIs. I like objectives and key results. In any case, the KPI, and I have it here, controlled transfer of authority to make decisions and take actions. This was an employee empowerment KPI. I thought, oh, okay, this is the opposite. And the whole idea here is, so I have a little drawing. So that's this, right? The authority figure decides if somebody else is going to have control, if they're going to be empowered. I decide if my direct reports are going to be empowered. That's the opposite. What we want to do is sort of turn this around, if you will, so that we have the leader or manager supporting people and creating the environment where people feel empowered. And that environment is really based on how people are motivated. Do they feel valued? Do they have a connection to people that they're working with or with customers? Do they have certainty, this feeling of control, if you will, about the work or what they need to do as part of that work? Do they have influence? Can they make decisions on their own? Is what we're doing fair? Or does somebody else get more rewards than I get? Or a different team has a better, more fun project than we get? So all of those things are what leaders can do to create this environment where people feel empowered so that they can make decisions, take it and run with that. Anyway, so yes, We cannot empower anyone, but what we can do is create the environment where people can jump in and where they feel like, yes, I'm empowered. So there's a subtle difference there, but it's important, I think.
That's right. By the way, it's really quite challenging for some managers to empower people. So to give them control based on competences and clarity, as David says. And I wonder, what are the obstacles on the way to give the empowerment, to create the empowerment, right? And what to give this delegate things to the people. Before I ask you these questions, what are the major obstacles and challenges on the way to leaders? I like to ask audience about the question. I like to ask audience the question. So I show you the questions on maybe slide. The questions is the following one. What is the biggest obstacle why some managers are afraid of giving control to their employees? And you can answer in 3 different ways. I put into the chat a link already to the Mentimeter, so you can click, you'll be transferred to the place where you can answer. You can also use the scanner. You can scan the IQ code on your smartphones using the typical camera, or you can go to the menti.com and put the code 84402804. So whatever way you want to answer, it's up to you, but we are interested why some managers are afraid of giving control to their employees. Maybe we'll give 1 minute to answer it. Let me just check what we have so far. Yeah, first answer are coming up, but still not many. So please take some more time. Oh, thank you. So I'll maybe show you. Lack of trust seems to be in the middle. By the way, if you have bigger letters, means that more than one person say so. So trust seems to be in many places. Loss of power, really, that's another love of maybe prestige, losing control, less power. Yeah, so less power, lack of trust seems to be most often. Managers are afraid, they don't trust, ask for big money, right? We will talk about it in a moment. So looking at the reasons, so what is your comments, Jenny?
Yeah, so everything, all the reasons are here, right? That we, as leaders at every level, so, whether you're a manager or, whether you're a wife or humans, don't like to be out of control. We don't like to give control. And it's a fear of something bad happening. So if we don't trust the people that we're sort of giving control to, if you will, or leaving it for someone to jump in, maybe something bad will happen, right? So it is not good. And this is the reason that we hang on to control so hard. It's also a survival mechanism. So when you look at the neuroscience behind control, we want to survive bad situations. And our brain has evolved over time, and now there's more scientific evidence that this may even be biologically motivated, that this feeling of controlling our environment is a way for us to survive. So as a leader or manager, it's really hard to give up that control, and especially if we don't trust the people who are jumping in. And the idea around intent-based leadership, of course, is the ability to make it easier to give control to people, we want to build on the two pillars, one of technical competence and the other of organizational clarity. So if we have people that are working with us or for us that have the skills, the technical competency to do the job, and they also understand the direction that we're going. So have the organizational clarity. What are the goals? What are the challenges? What are we doing with this product or this service or this initiative or whatever it might be, that people understand where it is we're going. They have those two things, organizational clarity and technical competence. And I have a series of these little cards today because I really wanted to do low tech for a change. Anyway, so let's see. Can you see that all right?
Yes, yes.
All right. Yeah. So on this axis, we have give control. So I'm a manager, leader in the organization, and this is give control to my people. And down here, it's the competence and clarity of the people who are doing the work or making the decisions. Which way do we go? Do we go this way first, or do we go this way first? What do you think? Which way do we go?
Maybe you can put into the chat.
Is it up or is it to the right?
I know the answers, I will not tell it.
No, that's good. Okay.
So one up, one right.
Yep. Okay. Anybody else? Both. That's a very political answer. Right. Okay. All right, so there's more around the going to the right with competence and clarity. So I'm not going to put anybody on the spot unless you want to jump in and say why you think that. What made you say that? Anybody want to? You don't have to. Okay. All right. So how do you know? How do you know when people have the technical competence and organizational clarity? How do you know? Okay, here, if you want to write in the chat or speak up, you're very welcome to. How do you know when people have enough competence and clarity where it's okay to give control?
You can type on the chat. They can do their job independently. Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. So I'm going to be a little provocative here again, maybe. How do you know when they can do their job independently? Connect with their team. You know their talents and capabilities, so you decide, right? So, okay. The right answer, of course, it's up. We need to trust first. So we have to take this leap, if you will, into, believing that our people can do this. So it's a leap of faith. So it's the first one here. And I can tell you that I still battle my inner control freak. I like being in control, and I know that when I do it, it's going to be done right. So I have a hard time still, even years and years and years working in an agile way, to give control. I know what my triggers are, and I can compensate for those. So I know that when I have that feeling, the first thing I need to do is give control, even though it's scary. However, if you're new to this, or if a manager that you're working with is scared about giving control, this might be way too much control to give to start with. So my suggestion is to give sort of a little bit of control, a little at a time. So we do that, and then maybe a mistake happens, something goes wrong, and there's a gap, right? So that's when we know, uh-oh, something happened. Is it about the competence of the person? Did they not have the skills or the ability to do the job or make the decision? Or was it something around clarity? Did they not understand what the goal was, or what the purpose was, or whatever it was? There was something about whatever decision they made that they didn't have all the information to make that decision. So, and for those of you who said, both, you're right. There's this sort of nice little optimal work environment where we're giving control, seeing where the gaps are, closing those gaps, or helping our people close those gaps, right? So it's not up to us as the manager or leader to close the gap. but we want to make sure that our people can jump in. And what I can tell you from my own experience and also working with a lot of leaders in different organizations, usually when there's a gap, it's around clarity. 75% of the time, in fact, we've done some informal surveys. It's been because of the clarity. And then I think, okay, whose problem is that? That's mine. I didn't create that clarity. I didn't, there was something there that I can do better next time. So I think it's a way to make it safe to give control, is that, give a little. If you're like some of the managers that I've worked with in the past, where it's really hard to give control, give a little, and then nothing bad happens. And in fact, good stuff happens, right? People are happier, they feel more motivated, they're probably getting great stuff done. And then you can give a little more. Okay, still nothing bad happened. I can trust that they're doing that. This is really cool, and give a little more. And okay, here we go. Here's the gap. Okay, how can I help you fill that gap? Either competency or clarity is usually what we see. So it's a safe way to be able to give control in this context, and to trust. First, yeah, you need to take a leap of faith, but then, narrow it down, just do a little piece, and then build that over time. It gets easier. So you're really creating new habits in the brain as well, and changing the reward system. And I think we'll get into that more later, but this is a way to make it safe.
Yeah, so to give a small step toward control and work on clarity. What is interesting, what you said, that the issue is not the competence, but rather the clarity. So clarity in terms, do I know what's my duty, how my duty, what's my work is bringing to the overall company results? Where are we going as a company? So this is place to work on it. Jenny, but I want to refer to your neuroscience experience. And I do believe that if someone is passing control to the subordinates, that there is something happening in the brain. So what kind of a mechanism you might consider, what is happening probably in this reptilian brain a little bit rather than the new cortex? How would you comment it?
Yeah, so because control, or that perception, that feeling, the illusion of control is so hardwired into us. As I mentioned, there seems to be some biological motivation around having the ability to make choices, and then continue to have that, the ability to have those choices, right? It's not so much about making them, but actually having the choices that seems to be connected to our survival over thousands of years. Yeah. So that when we look at what we can do when we, what happens in the brain when we give control. So initially, the first few times, or many times, it triggers that limbic system activation. So in the amygdala, where fight, flight, or freeze is, for example, oh, this could be really dangerous. I'm giving control. This is so scary. What am I going to do? They're going to screw up. I know it. And then when they screw up, you think, I am never giving control ever again. So that's what's happening in the brain. Now, you can change that by telling a different story here and seeing the reward. So there's also something, external rewards in the organization for being in control. You need to change that. But if we're talking just about what happens in the brain, you have the power to change how you view giving control. And when you give control and you see the people around you thriving and happy and like, yes, he trusts me or she trusts me, I get to make this decision, the reward changes for the leader, right? So if you can see that people jumping in and feeling empowered and being able to make those decisions and control their destinies and really, really contribute and feel valued in the organization, and see that as a, something that you're creating, you're making that environment, and that's a reward for you. So, and the more you do that, the more you strengthen the connection in the brain that says, when I give control, that's a reward, rather than when I give control, that's scary. So we need to change how we think about giving control in order to change how our brain is wired. And in that way, it becomes easier.
Yeah, when I'm listening to you, I remind my time when I was leading teams and companies. And I think there are two sources of satisfaction. One source, maybe when I was younger manager, and probably this is referring to the experience you have, is the source of experience, source of satisfaction is coming from the fact that you can command, control, you have a power of decision, many things depend on you, and you know how to do things and give orders, and you've got, feeling of satisfaction. But there is another source of satisfactions, which you just mentioned, that you focus as a leader on how to release the potential of the people, how to make them grow, how to build competences and making empowered environment. And this is, I can tell, much bigger satisfactions when you see people being developed and they becoming independent, businesses flourishing, and you suddenly can focus on something really strategic, or you can have a better work-life balance, and this is so rewarding and this is so satisfactory. So I think this is important to be aware of these two sources, let's say.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned about it. For the next topic, I'd like to also ask audience the question I will show you. I put into the chat already link to the Mentimeter, and the next question is the following: what would be the but let me just check one in the Mentimeter. I have to change the slide. Yes. The question is, what would be the physical evidence that people feel empowered in your organization? I put this slide on the screen. You can vote exactly in the same way as previously. So the question is, what would be the physical evidence that your employee, that your people feel empowered in your organization? You can use the QR code, menti.com, or the easiest probably way, you can go to the chat when I place the link to answer on the Mentimeter. I'll give you 1 minute. I see. One second. There was an issue. I'm sorry, I had to change the slide. Now is the right slide. You might have the previous slide. Now it's okay. So if you could please write now. Okay. First are coming up. So yeah, thank you. The first are coming up. I will wait for the others to put down. Okay. So what are the physical symptoms, if you wish? A moment, I will show you. Yeah, we have a lot of answers. So let's take a look at them. So we have, they are creative, positive vibration. I wonder how we measure, probably very visible, asking for new tasks, take initiatives, positive vibration, not engage, completed task, smile, yes, definitely, energy. They are decisive, good atmosphere, success reached. They are happy. Right. We have a wide range, Jenny.
Yeah. Yeah. And all the things that you have here relate to motivation. This is what happens in our brain when we feel motivated, when we feel empowered. You know, there's more smiles, there's better results, there's more back and forth exchanges, people not afraid to own what it is that they're doing. So all the things that you see here, and creativity, of course. So what happens in the brain when we feel motivated, when we feel empowered, is that the prefrontal cortex, the thinking rational area part of the brain, where focused thinking happens, is engaged. There's blood flowing in the prefrontal cortex, and this is where we come up with cool things for our organizations. When we have the opposite, when we're feeling like, oh, demotivated, or people are telling us what to do and we don't have a choice, and I'm not connected, and oh, this is so unfair, and I never know what's going to happen, all of those things shut down the prefrontal cortex. And that's when the limbic system deep in the brain kicks in and says, oh, okay, I'm going to protect myself from this. This is stressful. I don't like this. I'm just going to do what I'm told, and then I'm going home, or, I'm shutting off the camera or whatever. And that is not where we have prefrontal cortex thinking. And what kind of thinking do you want in your organization? So it's a huge incentive for leaders in organizations to be able to give control and create that environment where people feel empowered, where they feel motivated to get all those things that you have in the Menti there. Because those things are so much more important for the organization than my own feeling of not being able to control every tiny little detail about a project or whatever it is. So changing that reward system, when leaders see that, I can tell you, most are feeling that incentive to change how they think about control. Not all, but most see that as a much greater reward than their old way of, staying in control and telling everybody what to do.
This is true. Sometimes when I discuss with the leaders of company, they tell me, okay, that's fine, but what about the people who just want to be told what to do? They may say, well, I'm not paid by making decision. This is up to the management. Please let me know what I have to do. I will do it with pleasure. I don't need to be really someone who is decisive, whatever. So what to do with those people?
Mm-hmm.
Did you meet someone like that?
Oh, yes. There are no people who are born wanting to be told what to do. I can tell you that. And in fact, there's more and more research now, also cross-culturally, about this particular topic. Some research that I just read recently was about a group of young children, so between the ages of 2 and 4, across different cultures, and how strong their motivation was around having choice. So, and once they had a choice, they didn't want that choice taken away. So, choice about what to eat, or if they were going to feed themselves, or what they were going to wear that day. When they did experiments where the parents came in and took the choices away after they had that ability to do it themselves, they got really, really upset. And they did this over and over. And in fact, they can even see this in babies. So we are hardwired to control our own destinies and not have other people control them. So now you may say, okay, but I am working with somebody who just wants to be told what to do, and I have this whole cat on your back kind of thing. So what happens, there's a couple of things. So one, there is some cultural differences. So there's evidence that over years and years and years, hundreds of years of a culture where, it's a more top-down kind of hierarchical, patriarchal kind of culture, that it changes the DNA so that we're more accepting of being told what to do. Most of the time, it's bad habits. We're in the habit, or we've been punished somehow, where we've made a decision and really something bad happened. So our experience with making choices is not safe. So having a choice is motivating. Making the choice, you need to have the psychological safety in the organization. So there are two different things that are happening in the brain. But I can tell you that nobody is born wanting to be told what to do. So helping people get past their old habits, and if they've had a bad experience with making a decision where they've been punished, or maybe they made a mistake and they were punished, we need to help people get over that so that we feel safe in making those decisions. And maybe again, it's a whole baby steps in the reverse, sort of, if you will, that here we're making it safe for our people to jump in and make those decisions. So start with something small where it feels safe for me if I'm afraid of jumping in and taking control. Make it safe for me to do that little by little so that I build up the habit, this new habit in my brain. And I see the reward, I feel the benefit, I get that. And so the connection happens in my brain that, okay, me actually making the decisions is also an okay thing. So I reject that there are just people who want to be told what to do, because I know about the brain and how motivation and how dopamine is released in the brain. And we don't have dopamine released when people are telling us what to do. It just, the science doesn't support this. So we need to get past the fear of jumping in and taking that responsibility if we've had bad experiences in the past, or if we don't trust ourselves. If we ourselves don't feel we have the competency to do it, then let's see what we can do to help the people around us or in our organization to feel more safe about jumping in and taking those decisions.
I think that you are right, that we were born with a different attitudes that we gained during the school or later when we work. Some time ago, I did small experiment with my granddaughter, who is 2 years and 2 months. We were playing with her favorite game. There's like a cartoon books. You detach the stickers and from one side and put up to another places, right? And she was playing, and I was doing experiment by suggesting her, please take this one and put it there. I was suggesting 10 times, and she never heard me. She always go her own way. And I was like shocked a little bit, because, I am authority grandfather. and she was not. She was having her own way of doing things. So this is absolutely right. And then we are going to school, we were told what to do, we're going to work, and we are in the culture, which is coming probably from 19th century, the industrial age, that when people were told what to do because they were not prepared to do the things. So yeah, fully agree. Jane, I have a suggestion. If you could please take a look into the chat, there are some comments,
Yes.
maybe questions. In the meantime, I will show for the audience something which I believe is interesting. Let me tell you that for results, we have a perfect tool which is called VR, virtual reality dive, and we combine it with the whole philosophy of intent-based leadership proposed by David Marquet. And I'd like to inform you that we have so-called masterclass workshop for C-level, not only C-level, but for managers, which I like to invite you. What does it look like? So we have 2 days, most of the time, 1.5 day, you are working on virtual reality, on certain missions, and we can We can see the way you are leading, cooperating, how you react under the stress, and we can discuss how this intent-based leadership can be transferred into your own business, into your own organization. As a part of this masterclass, there is also discussion with C-level leaders who implemented similar culture to culture leader. And we can have these mentoring sessions. There are some open still dates. I think there is a last place in April, 8th or 9th. There are still probably 2 places in May, 18 and 19 of May, and 25, 26 of May, and 10 and 11 of June. Program, of course, is done in partnership with intent-based leadership of David Marquet. So I have also very good news for you. For those who will stay with us to the end of the webinar, I believe all of us will stay, we will draw one free participation in this webinar, in this masterclass webinar. The cost is 2,500 zlotys, so net. So I think it's worth to take part in this drawing, and there will be some additional prices later on. We will tell you. So, is there anything in the chat?
Yes, there's lots of great ideas too. And Natalia, I'm hoping I'm saying your name right now. I'm saying the Danish version, Natalia. Work is not only about creative tasks. Some routine has to be done. How to motivate employees to do mundane work. Sometimes it's only management decision who should do what. Yeah. So, and we think that that's the fastest route, right? That, oh yeah, we've got these boring tasks that need to get done. And so I'm the manager and I'm just going to do it fast. You're going to do that. You'll do that. You do that. And it takes choice away. And again, it's not that necessarily the manager wants control of that, who does what, but wants control to make sure that the stuff gets done. So instead, and I'm sure that, you have done this already, but an idea that works well is to start with the challenge. Okay, here's what we have. We have all these daily, mundane, whatever, boring tasks that need to get done. Here they are. So, presenting clarity, if you will, about the work that has to get done. And then asking the team, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? Now, there might be some constraints in there. So as a manager, you may decide that, okay, they need to be done in the next week or the next month, or you have to do it just with the team that we have right here, or whatever those, what I call fixed decisions are. This is the frame. This is the boundary that we're working in. You guys decide how we're going to get it done. What questions do you have? How can I support you? And give it away. And you'll be amazed. The stuff gets done and people feel like they have choice. And there's a sense of fairness because in the group or in the team, we're deciding, it's not our manager deciding for us. And that boosts our feeling of motivation. So the reward mechanism in the brain, there's more dopamine being released when we have that choice where we feel we get to have influence on this. We get to decide, maybe today I'm doing more of the boring tasks, but I know on Friday, I don't have to do any of those. So there's this sense of overall fairness. And that helps the brain, the prefrontal cortex, you get more dopamine being released and it helps you to think better. So that's my advice. Just push it back. If there are constraints, give that. What are the fixed things? Give the frame. Here's the challenge. Go do. And then, okay, so the question might be, what happens if they don't do it? Right? So, I mean, that would be me. I'd be like, oh, okay, I did this on Monday. I told them that things have to be done by Friday. It's now Tuesday. I don't see anything happening. And I'm getting really nervous about this. So I'd go to the team and say, look, guys, okay, I need a little information here because I'm feeling really nervous about this. So this is where, as a leader, you become vulnerable. You show your own insecurity. I'm really, really trying to push the decision-making authority and not be involved in all the details and, not trying to control you, but I have this need for information. I have this need to know that this is going to get done. And you have that dialogue, you have that communication. And this is maybe fits super well into intent-based leadership. There's an opportunity there for the team to say, well, we intend to do it on Wednesday. We have the whole afternoon planned. We're going to get all this stuff done. It'll be done on Wednesday afternoon. That's how we intend to do it. Whew, okay, great. So you have that communication back and forth. So that part is super important too in helping us who are trying to get more comfortable with giving control to be comfortable. So if we have that knowledge, it's like, okay, now I know I don't have to worry until Wednesday afternoon. And then if Wednesday afternoon I don't see something, then I might, come in and say, hey guys, you said Wednesday afternoon, what happened? What happened? So, yeah.
So this is showing also vulnerability of the leader, right? To be open and trust and to have a discussion. Great. Is there anything else you would like to comment, Jane, from the chat?
I think there are some really good ideas for each other. So I'm hoping that you will read it here around motivation and building competencies and how you can do that together. Yeah. And I think that is the key. When we do it together, you increase that feeling of influence and being valued. So it's really great. So make sure that you read the chat.
Thank you. From David also is very valuable comment. So you can read from all of you. I invite you to see the short film.
Panowie, podsumowując nasze spotkanie, przypominam, na Santa Fe nie mówimy oni, tylko my. Na naszym okręcie nie mówimy nie można tego zrobić, albo nie wiemy jak to zrobić, ale dodajemy małe, ale bardzo ważne słówko jeszcze. Nie możemy jeszcze tego zrobić, albo nie wiemy jeszcze jak to zrobić. I nie mówimy oni gdzieś tam na maszynowni, oni tam w kuchni, mówimy my tu razem na pokładzie. Czy to jest jasne?
Tak jest, panie kapitanie. Dzień dobry, panie kapitanie.
A, witaj, John.
Kiepska sprawa, niby tutaj taka technologia zaawansowana, panie kapitanie, ciągle mamy problem, ciągle ten sam. Co parę dni go wałkujemy.
Jaki problem?
No z tą pompą, panie kapitanie.
No ale przecież zostały zamówione części zamienne, z tego co wiem, to wczoraj przyszły.
Tak, przyszły, panie kapitanie, ale oni zamówili nie te części, co trzeba. Panie kapitanie, my zamówiliśmy nie te części, co trzeba, panie kapitanie, więc my zamówimy właściwe części. Nie ma tematu, pan kapitan wybaczy. Sorry. Jedną z ważnych zasad kultury brania odpowiedzialności jest zasada, która brzmi: zmieniaj środowisko, a nie ludzi. Czym jest to środowisko? To procesy, to miejsce pracy, to systemy, w których ludzie funkcjonują, ale również to język, jakiego używamy, bo język jest elementem systemu.
I to jest też zmiana środowiska poprzez zmianę języka. Nie oni tam są odpowiedzialni w marketingu, oni tam zawinili w sprzedaży. Jesteśmy razem odpowiedzialni za całość.
I razem gramy do jednej bramki. Ten język to odzwierciedla.
This event has happened on Santa Fe. It was a real, maybe not exactly the same way, but it's telling that changing environment, part of the changing environment is changing the language. By the way, David wrote his second book, Leadership is the Language. And I remember also, Jenny, your notch when you say about the yet. So how language is helping to create the right environment? How would you comment?
Yeah, it is so important. How we talk about people in an organization. David, of course, talks a lot about the we and they. So if you've read Turn the Ship Around, for example, there's no they on the Santa Fe fitting in. And Our brain is wired according to what we hear over and over again, according to what we see over and over again, according to what we feel over and over again. And if it's always us and them, that doesn't work. It's the opposite of that relatedness, that connectedness that we're trying to achieve. How we talk about our people. So I have a huge pet peeve. And there's a little something around Scandinavia that the word resource or resources. Now, when you say that in Danish or Swedish or Norwegian, it doesn't sound as bad. But in English, it sounds terrible. I did not, as a 5-year-old, want to grow up to be a resource. I mean, that was just not on my agenda. And when we talk about resources and FTEs and all of those things that dehumanize people, we demotivate. So, and it's not only other people's brains, but it's also our brains. Suddenly they're disposable. They're not the talented people that we have in our organization. So, I mean, those are just a couple of examples. Using the word yet also from the video. I mean, it changes how we think. So I did a little experiment in my gym. This was before the lockdown, when we used to be able to go to gyms and work out. And there were a lot of people, and I have a crazy trainer who's awesome. And she was constantly challenging us to do, take us out of our comfort zones and do different things, stretches or jumps or whatever it was. And there was a lot of, I can't, including me. No, I'm going to do this experiment. And every time I hear I can't, I'm going to add the word yet. And I'm going to say it myself. And if I hear somebody else say I can't, I'm going to add the word yet. So I became known as the yet girl I'm not a girl, but a woman in the training center, and other people started saying it. Now, I've done this in teams, I've done this with leaders, and it is contagious in a really good way, that once you start saying yet, if you hear I can't or we can't, you create the possibility that, okay, maybe we can't do it right now, but we will be able to do it if we really want to. And that changes our perception of the situation. So language is an incredibly powerful tool. And if you haven't read David's book, it's really wonderful in terms of stories and ideas of how you can change how you talk to people, the questions that you ask others to help create that environment where people feel more motivated in the process.
Correct. Speaking about the books, I want to tell that Jenny is the author of the book. I will show you in the screen. Recently published. The title of the book is Together: How Leaders Involve and Engage People to Get Great Things Done. Jenny wrote it with her husband Ole. Ole unfortunately could not be today with us, but all the best to Ole. So tell us how leaders involve and engage people to get great things done.
Yeah, so it is everything that we've talked about plus the how-to. So that when we do things together, when we understand together, plan together, validate together, reflect together, that we create the space where people can get great things done. Because the challenges that we're facing today in organizations, they're just too big for one person. No matter how smart you are, there are just too many things to know. And we also know, again, from the science, that the more diversity we have in the perspectives, the better solutions we come up with. So not only is it motivated from a neuroscientific perspective, but the results are better because we include more. And if you tie that into intent-based leadership and this whole idea about how we give control by having technical competence and organizational clarity, the book is really a how-to, if you will, a guide on how to involve and engage people who are together in what situations, and some tips and tricks and a lot of stories.
Where the book is available, where can we get it.
Yeah, Amazon is probably the most well-known. Otherwise, you can go to togetherthebook.com, and then there's links.
Okay, we have a good news. In a moment, we will draw one of this book so you can read it. We have also some additional rewards. If I can ask you, Jane, again to look into the chat, and I will we will start the very important part of our webinar today. So we will be drawing different prizes. Let me start, and we will be helped by Kazimierz, who is in our backstage. And
yes,
he
hello.
hello.
Hi.
Kazimierz has a special drawing machine. So let's start from telling you that the first prize is the book of David Marquet, Zmień Kurs in Polish. So let's open the first roulette. Oh, first is Jenny Jepsen. Jenny. Okay, so tell us, Kazimierz, who will get this very interesting book?
Okay, the winner is Patricia, someone who was written as Patricia, under the name Patricia.
Okay, I hope Patricia is with us. Patricia, if you are with us, let us know.
Right, please write on chat.
Or you can put on chat that you are in.
I think that Patricia left the webinar.
Okay, so I think we should redraw the prize.
We should, exactly.
So, okay, let's do one more time. I will put on the screen, because we said we will be drawing from those who are with us all the time.
Yeah.
I love the music.
Okay, who is the winner now, Kazimierz?
Sebastian, and I think that now Sebastian is with us. Please write us on
Sebastian, let us know whether you are on the webinar. You can say, open your microphone, or maybe you can put in the chat.
Okay.
Looking for Sebastian?
I see Sebastian.
I see Sebastian. Okay. So we will give a chance Sebastian to answer.
Yes,
but now
yes.
I want to draw the second book, which is the book of David Marquet. Let me just put it on the screen and have a second drawing. Okay, Kazimierz, and who now is the winner?
Now the winner is Damian Kozłowski.
Damian Kozłowski, again, if we can ask Damian to let us know, to say a word or write something on the chat. Before we go to the fastest, the most important part of this different awards, which is the participation in masterclass webinar. Here I am. Okay, so I see. And he said, thank you. Good.
Okay.
So we will contact you, Damian, and we will let you know how we can transfer the prize for you. And ladies and gentlemen, and this seems to be the final drawing of the webinar. I remind you, this is accountability culture, participation in masterclass of accountability culture to this webinar. And I wish you good luck. Oops. much wonder who is the winner of the Grand Place.
Okay, the winner is Grzegorz Oszast.
Grzegorz Oszas. Is Grzegorz with us? This is, hi Grzegorz. Oh,
Oh, it's me.
okay. Okay. Well, congratulations for all of you who got the 3 prizes. Jenny, did you get anything in the chat maybe? Anything you want to?
There are a couple of questions here. What if they don't want that power? So the teams, my suggestion about presenting the challenge of spreading out the work, the mundane work, what if they don't want that power at all, or they don't take it and organize themselves? Yeah, so then we have more clarity and competency gaps that are apparent. So we need to do something in a different way. So what I would suggest is to sit down with the team and present the goal. This is what I want to do as a leader. This is what I want to do as a manager. I want you to decide this. This is what I want you to decide. How can I help you get there? How can I make it easier for you to do this? So you could do it at a workshop, you could do a meeting, you could do one-on-one, depends on the team members and sort of their level of feeling safe with each other. So that's a very quick answer. The next question, have you experienced that some team members try to impose certain tasks they don't like on other team members? Yep. Should the manager interfere in a more fair distribution of work and treatment of team members? So my bias is to have those conflicts be solved in the team. However, where I see this, or where I have seen this happen, is when somebody new, especially maybe like fresh out of school, is joining a team. And then maybe the other ones who have been there a while and earned their, seniority or whatever, earned their stars, they don't want to do that work anymore. So they push the crap work on someone else. So my suggestion is to bring it up in the team if that junior person is, not feeling comfortable to do that, to just say, hey, this is what I'm seeing happening. So make those observations. Try not to be judgmental about it, but make the observations about what you're seeing, and then go back and be clear. So provide the clarity around the goal that you want in how we work with this, is that those tasks need to be spread out. That is my decision as your leader. That is my decision. So that's a fixed decision. How you do that, that's up to you. So this is where I'd be very clear about what you will accept and what you won't. And it is because you're going for the greater good. It's not because you're trying to control the situation. Of course, the work still needs to get done, but what you're trying to do is make it easier for people to make those choices and do it in a fair way. So we also need to, in the whole accountability culture aspect, is that there are consequences for behavior that we don't want, right? So as a leader or manager, that is also part of your goal. And that I see as really a clarity or competency gap.
Thank you, Jane. Looking at the watch, we are ready to land. So I want to take this opportunity and say thank you very much for your presence, for your comments, sharing your great experience. We are part of, with Jenny and many other people around the world, part of so-called IBL partners. We meet each Friday for 1 hour session. And there is so many very practical examples of leaders who implemented intent-based leadership in their businesses, having unbelievable business results. And this is wide range of companies, from police department to the airlines to some agriculture. And what is amazing that this methodology is bringing not only creating empowered environment, what we're talking about, but also is bringing clear financial business results and making the place of work a good place of work. And so we are very much inviting you to contact for results if you would like to implement this methodology, intent-based leadership, certified by David Mark and the organizations. We'll be we can discuss and talk about it. So again, thank you, Jane, for being with us. Thank you for all of you.
Thank you, all of you.
Thank you for your comments, for participation on the Mentimeter. I believe was interactive, not one-way delivered message. So see you on the next webinar soon. Thank you.